have this little booming voice. That and maybe yelling at my 9 children at home. One of the two things have gotten me well trained to do what I just did. So honestly, this event tonight is really our way of saying thank you to all of you, to our volunteers who help out here, to all of you who actually believe in our mission so much to make a gift. And maybe for some of you, that's a stretch gift, just to be a part of our Circle of Mercy. This is a new thing for us. I was just sharing with a friend that over the past couple of years here, let me first say, for those of you who don't know, my name is Will Waldron. I'm the president of Divine Mercy Care. I was really blessed with this opportunity 2.5 years ago to come here and take the skills that I'd had, mostly in educational fundraising, to come here and be a part of this mission. My wife and I have 8 children and a 9th that we're fostering, but 7 of those 8 were actually children that were born through this practice. So I have my wife to thank for her wonderfulness in so many ways, but it was actually her friend that was in the waiting room today that told her 24 years ago, you shouldn't go to that OB. You should come to this guy, Bachowski. He really knows what he's talking about. And he's pro-life. So there, that started the relationship 24 years ago. And I just seeing that friend of hers in the waiting room flooded memories of how it all started for us as a family. And I think all of you have your own stories of why and how you became acquainted with this mission, and we want to capture those stories. And I'm so glad you're all here. A couple of things we want to do tonight is again, like I said, to thank all of you. When the design group, a little over 2 years ago, or actually just under 2 years ago, when we came into this facility, we had a volunteer crew of designers, of staff members who kind of pulled together and said, hey, listen, this is what the color scheme should be, this is the layout, this is what things should look like around here. And they came up with this 3 panels. And those of you who've been here before understand, well, it's a nice kind of scenic mural. But my background said, wait a second, that's a great way to recognize some of our most loyal donors. And so actually, if Cheney, if you could do me a favor and do the unveiling of our first year of publicly recognizing our Circle of Mercy. To all of you, this is our thank you to all of you for being such loyal donors for us. And this will be something that every year, it won't change. We'll just add more people, right? That's the idea here, that we continue. I just want to talk very briefly before I introduce Dr. John Bachowski and Christian Arcuso from our Pro Women's Healthcare Center project and program. I want to first thank a couple people in the room who have been instrumental in really helping Divine Mercy Care over the years. Monique Baruti is one of our board members here. Monique, if you'd raise your hand. Thank you so much. Monique, for the better part of 14 years, has been leading and executing, whether it be small stuff or big stuff, for our gala, which by far has been our biggest fundraising opportunity throughout the years, raising in excess of $2 million collectively over that 14-year period. And I can't thank you enough. And this year she accepted our invitation to come on the Divine Mercy Care Board, so we're excited to have her in a more greater involvement. I really appreciate that. For those of you who are not familiar, that we have 3 prongs or 3 aspects of our mission, and they are to serve, to inspire, and to unify. And we really try to do that through the practice of medicine. You know, we do the serve here with Tepeyac and seeing and underwriting help the underserved, and really helping our providers and staff practice medicine that's in line with their faith, with their moral views of the world. We work on the inspire and the educate portion by reaching out, to get out into the communities. And it's not just Northern Virginia, it is all over the country, and really in some cases around the world. Dr. B's spoken at multitudes of countries over the years, and really been evangelizing and telling the story, not just of his own personal conversion, but actually of what's going on at Tepeyac, what's going on here. And the next part of our journey here in the mission is really the unification. And that's the big view here. How do we change? How do we take the idea of Tepeyac and pro-life medicine, and how do we actually spread that great word? Well, that's been going on over the years, whether it's been when someone like Dr. Clint Leonard, who 15 years ago was walking and shadowing Dr. B and was inspired then to turn around and say, that's the kind of practice. That's how I want to practice medicine. And he today is running Morningstar OBGYN out of Arizona, and so blessed. Or is it Bella Center out in the Denver area, who is also started by Dee Dee Chisholm, who was inspired by Dr. B, came out here 6 years ago to say, how do we do the same thing? And he just said, let me just tell you all the ways I did things wrong. And that's, isn't that how we learn though, right? And if those of you who know Dr. B well know that his humility is arguably one of his greatest strengths. But that's the truth. It's how we do things wrong, how we learn from our mistakes. And this year is a celebratory year. For those of you who aren't familiar, it's 25 years. 25 years of Tepeyac. I mean, that's a quarter century. That's a generation and change. That's a wonderful mark. It's not easy. And Dr. B and Dr. Anderson, who 22 years ago started and joined on with Dr. B. I mean, it's not easy medicine. It's an uphill battle. It's constant. It's struggle, not just from maybe a government that doesn't support you, but it's also the struggle of day in and day out and serving the patients that, one, may be abortion vulnerable, but also patients who have no one else who really will care for them. And they have nowhere else to go. And oftentimes those patients have the most complicated medical scenarios, and they take a lot more care. And Dr. B will talk about this later, but it's all about building that relationship. It's a relationship with that patient, and so we're really blessed. One of the things that we're doing this year, I'm just going to do a quick, brief overview of 2019. We're going to have a couple big things. We're going to have a party, because we need to celebrate this 25 years and do it right. And so on April 27th, we're going to have an event that's going to be done at the Tyson's in Sheraton, and we're going to try to make it as accessible and wide open for as many people as possible. And honestly, it's going to be that celebration, because I believe that this organization in Tepeyac has been that beacon on the hill to help inspire the Morningstars, the Bellas, the Guiding Star Tampa, you name it. There's so many organizations out there that have been inspired by Dr. B's work and Dr. Anderson and Fisk and Pereira and Zavekovich. These physicians have been really leading this charge as a group, and so we're fortunate. The next thing that we're going to do is, honestly, for those of you that may be familiar with Dr. B's story and his own personal journey, is we're doing a pilgrimage to Medjugorje. And Medjugorje was an instrumental place for Dr. B personally, and he'll tell you more about that. But he and Carolyn are going to come along with us, and we're going to have a pilgrimage for whoever wants to come. So we've got brochures and information for you on that, if you're all interested. But that'll take place in October of next year, and we're pretty excited about that. But I want to ask Dr. B to come on up here and give us a couple of words of inspiration here.
Thank you so much for being here with us today. The word gratitude, it means so much from us to you. 2 days ago, my son needed something in the middle of the snowstorm at Walmart, so we go drive in the four-wheel drive truck we have. And there in the stand next to the checkout counter is a Time magazine, and it says, "What has happened to our babies? 3-parent babies, genetically manipulated babies, selective reduction babies, where you end their one life to turn twins into singletons." And I looked at this picture, and it made me just all those things in my stomach that I used to do that I no longer do, all the PTSD. Well, I want you to know that that word gratitude is a pathway. It's something that you all have done for us as a community. I know there are many of you here, but I just want to point out the Melmers. They've been here from the beginning, at the first gala, when we were trying to figure out how to do this, making those mistakes. Not only do they support us, but they send their children to us. And they send their children, even who live in California, to us. And I want you to know that this gratitude is a pathway. You can't touch it, but it's the beginning of prayer. Because when I walked in that morning through that door and I saw that word, "Dear Daddy, thank you for letting us be here today. Thank you for letting us work in your vineyard." And all of a sudden that negativity that crazy cover brought on my heart dissipated. Because you thank the good Lord for this. It was in this very room 25 years ago, that I sat in a couch right where the Melmers are sitting right now, right in the middle of the room. The chairman of the department at Fair Oaks Hospital was in the back corner here. This was his office. I had to go before the chairman of our OBGYN department to talk to him to see if I was up to snuff to join their prestigious department. I spent 2 years at Holy Cross Hospital. I was good with surgery at the time. And he says, "You do pro-life work. That's interesting." He was on the other side of that fence. He says, "I hear you're following. You really have a following over in, there's many women who travel from here to there to see you guys." I said, "Well, that's wonderful, but yes, I think I want to join the department." He says, "In 6 months, because you don't contracept, you're going to be out of business. And I want you to come join us because we would love to offer a greener, more natural approach to child spacing." Lo and behold, 25 years later, thanks to you all, this place still exists. Once again, it goes back to the word gratitude about thank you, Lord, for all the many blessings and all the many people that you've brought across our path. So for 25 years, we've been trying to put medicine back in the movement. You know what's amazing is that they talk about pregnancy centers, but they don't talk about doctors. They talk about health care, but they don't quite talk about doctors and healthcare providers. They talk about post-abortion syndrome, but they don't talk about doctors. They just think that doctors kind of are going to see these folks, and they don't. And yet, going across the country for the last 25 years, you see more and more people, especially young healthcare professionals, doctors, PAs, nurse practitioners, students, they want more than just technology. They want more than just surgery. Amazing. Trying to put the medicine back in the movement. And so when that inspiration occurred, that I still don't understand all of it, people would come to help. It's you. It's you. It's all of you. It's Monique. It's Sharon. It's everybody. It's about building the body of Christ, ultimately. It's solidarity. It's not just a political buzzword. It's literally health care. More insurance, but anything else. I'm Polish, so I know about Solidarity, the trade union that kind of helped bring the wall down. This is our heritage, folks. It's our time. This idea of PWHC, this movement that, once again, people look to me, but it's just not me. I stand on the shoulders of people who came before us. I've been blessed to work with people like Dr. Duane. I've been blessed to know people like Leah Jacobs. Christina Curso has been a friend, a patient, a pregnancy center director, and now a manager of another doctor, Dr. Clint Leonard's a medical practice. And now she's stepped up to be kind of the director of PWHC. What we want to try to do is to help show that medicine is both and. It's not either or. You can take care of the whole, it's women's health. It's standardization of real excellent health care. So the language we're using is able to get at the culture. We have places where we can speak because the emphasis has been on standards. which deep down inside are based on the love of Jesus Christ, relationships. Hate the disease, love the patient, all these things that we've been saying. But if you guys didn't come support us as patients, this would not be here. This would not be here. And so I can't thank you enough, because it's post-traumatic stress in the opposite direction. Every time I walk in here, I go, oh yeah, that guy said we'd be out of business in 6 months. Lord, you have a sense of humor about things like this. And so this PWHC extension of Divine Mercy Care and Tepeyac OBGYN is, how do we get excellent health care across the country based on real standards, where young people can improve their resume, make a decent living, and work in the vineyard of the Lord, ultimately. Now, we have atheists who are interested in this model because it's based on standards. And so what I want to do now is I want to introduce Christina Curso of PWHC, a friend, a patient, the whole 9 yards. Because this extension is much more than just a counter to the other side. We're not a reaction to them at all, actually. We're trying to return medicine back to those basic elements of care, respect, service, excellence, holistic, body, soul, and spirit. Some of us are not-for-profit centers. Some of us are for-profit centers. Some of us are very religious. Some of us are attracted to beauty, goodness, truth, which are the standards of healthcare. You are helping us do this. You are part of this. We love, love, love your ideas that you've shared with us. We are so grateful. And so without further ado, I'd like to just invite Christine to come up here and kind of bring you into the details of PWHC. God bless you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. John, so much, and Will. I'm so glad that you all came tonight. Thank you, and my gratitude for all of your generous contributions of your heart and your pocketbooks, and all of the work that you put into this wonderful, amazing organization. As Dr. John said, I manage a practice in Gilbert, Arizona, Morningstar OBGYN, the practice of Dr. Clint Leonard, which is a great gift. I first met him actually when I was a patient at Tepeyac many years ago. Dr. John was my doctor, and we were in the middle of an ultrasound, and he pulls in Dr. Clint. He wasn't a doctor then, he was a medical student. So just all the healthcare is relationships, working in healthcare is relationships as well. So we're very grateful to be able to do this. So basically what has happened over the last 2 years is we started a conversation 2 years ago. It was a wonderful conversation with Cheney, and really pulled that in to say, how is it that we can unite throughout the country? There's been a lot of tries to be able to unite excellent healthcare, life-affirming healthcare in the country, and it just hasn't worked. And I think it hasn't worked because we're all human, and it's hard to unify when we have such an identity in where we work. So obviously Tepeyac OBGYN has a name that was given to the hearts of these founders by God. So is Morningstar OBGYN and Bella Natural Women's Care and Guiding Star. All of these names are great. So we knew quickly that we were not going to be able to unite under the same name, right? Because we all love, our own practices, and they're all so different. And we knew also we weren't going to be able to necessarily unite under the same mission. Some of the people in the conversation run hospitals. Some are family practice. Some are OBGYN offices. Some are fully medicalized pregnancy centers. So they all had a very different character about them. But what we did have in common were excellent standards of care for women's health. And so what we did is we sat around a table and wrote out all the way around this massive whiteboard, what do we offer women? And it wasn't just the good old-fashioned annual exams and OB care. It was also the referrals, either on-site or a nearby direct referral to something you might have a need for a material need or a spiritual need or a practical need of some type of support. So when we wrote all of this out, we really realized we serve the whole woman, body, mind, and spirit. The whole woman, and the whole woman in the sense of her past and the wounds that she might have, the span of her life, the patient that sits in our exam rooms today, and then also, of course, who she can and will become in the future. So the whole woman for the span of her life. And once we realized we really have standards of care on these whiteboards right now. This is what we're going to unite under. Then we went to the next step. What are we going to do with that? And so we decided we could actually have a good old-fashioned good housekeeping seal of approval. Do you remember them, right? On all the magazines, right? But we can do this under women's health care. And that's the reason why we came up with the gold seal, PWHC. You can call yourself a pro-women's health care center, right? This is a certification seal. After you go through we verify the compliance of every single standard of the PWHC and that you meet all of them, you can be certified and have this gold seal on your door, on your website, on your brochures. Our hope is to be able to certify a center in every single state before we then begin to market to women to say, this is what you deserve. That's the lens we looked through when we wrote down all of those standards of care, is what women deserve. That's why it's very holistic in serving the whole woman. So as we began to go around the conversation, went around the country, people started surfacing. We got a spreadsheet together, of course. I'm an administrator, so we put everything in a spreadsheet. And so we started writing down all the people who started surfacing. Oh, so-and-so's doing this over in Nebraska. So-and-so's doing, just keep them on the list. We don't have time. We're just trying to figure out what we're doing here. And we thought, okay, let's use this verification process that we went through and tested on ourselves. We came in and certified Tepeyac, certified Morningstar, certified Bella in Denver, and said, okay, this works. All right, now we can go ahead and start certifying centers. And so we have a team, a slim team right now that goes out and certifies centers. And once they meet all of it, they can get the seal of approval. So we launched this less than a year ago. And actually nobody knows this but you in this room or whoever's watching, that as of 2 weeks ago, we had 9 certified centers. As of today, we have 11. So we have 11 certified centers in the United States, 2 in the process right now, and a list on that spreadsheet of over 90. So this is a big job. The 90 means we have a lot of work to do. I just want to share 2 quick stories. The first one is my congressman back in Arizona found out what we were doing from the beginning and loved it. So he decided to go ahead and put a little House resolution together and be able to put these standards that it ends that the House resolves, that these standards are the standards that should be worthy of implementing nationwide. It was awesome. It was great. Things are, I don't know what exactly the status of it at this point. However, I found out that a young woman who works on the Hill happened to read it, and then she goes, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I need to find one near me, and came to Tepeyac. And so now she's a patient here, and she lives all the way in Maryland, and she comes here. So you never know what avenue, yes, it can even be political sometimes, that people will find out about these standards. It doesn't matter what hill we shout them from. So it's already helping patients. And then the other story I wanted to share is we went to certify this wonderful doctor in Waterloo, Iowa. He is so fantastic. And when we went to do the certification, he's full of energy. And this is a family practice. So they meet all the standards because he's doing all of it. And he says to me, life-affirming medicine, I figured it out. This is so awesome. And he starts telling me how awesome it is to be able to bill for natural family planning classes, how awesome it is to be able to practice this where he's in line with his faith. He said, Christine, just a year ago I was prescribing contraception. And now today, I don't have to. And I'm still open. And this is amazing. And the joy on his face, he goes, so we have to tell people I figured it out. And I was like, this man is so full of joy. I just hugged him. And I looked at him and I said, I am so excited. And very carefully, slowly tried to share with him that other people are doing this. And started sharing with him about Dr. Puchowski, Dr. Leonard. And he knew I worked for Dr. Leonard because, I came out. And as we started, after we finished the certification process, I said, you really need to come to this conference that, we're having in the fall, that we're all going to be attending. And he sat at this joyful dinner with all of us in tears that he's not alone. And he picks up the phone and calls Dr. Leonard, hey, I got this case, I need help. So the support that it's offered for somebody who thought he was on an island and figured it out by himself, he said, if we would have known about this years ago, I would have been able to do this right from the beginning. And so the inspiration for the medical students and those who are starting and those who are out there, they need support too. So there's a lot of avenues that this has been a great gift. So I'm very, very grateful. We have a lot of work to do, so we ask for your prayers for sure, please, as we go and try to certify, or at least attempt to certify 90 more. Will Waldron and I will be going out to Cleveland in about 10 days to be able to help a group that's out there that wants to be able to open up a brand new center, with the roadmap being these standards, because that's what women deserve. So we're very excited to see where the good Lord sends us. We're very grateful for the shoulders that we all stand on, these great doctors who have started it, and nurse practitioners, especially like Guiding Star down in Tampa. They paved a way. If anybody ever goes to, you're traveling or going on vacation, I always look for a good Catholic church and a tea room. But you could also look on our map, and be able to look to see, is there a center here? I'd like to be able to go and visit it. I encourage you to do that. So I'll be around for a few questions if need be, but I'm very grateful for your time tonight, and please keep us in your prayers. Thank you.
Honestly, she's right. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask. I love that idea about if you're in your travels and you're out there. What I would love is a picture of you and whoever at that center, and send that back, and we'll publish that. I mean, the best marketing schemes are really word of mouth, and I think that's really where we're at. Does anyone have any questions, any thoughts? Any more beer in wine here and some other refreshments to eat, and I can't thank you enough. Please don't let this be the best kept secret. Please tell your friends, your daughters, your nieces, come here. We need you as patients, we need you as supporters, and really we thank you. And I want to be doing this year after year and seeing all your familiar faces back up here and on the name of the Lord. So thank you very much. Chaining Mullins, could you come on out here? Mark Flores, I just want to introduce to you the staff here that we have. Chaining Mullins and Mark were here before I got here. Amy Wolf is helping out with PWHC, so she's helping out for Greg Lynch is really not really the doorman, but he's right there. He's out there and really building the relationships with a lot of you and with others that are like-minded like yours. So really expanding those relationships that we have and inspiring donors to really increase their support. Sharon John in the corner here, she is our communications person. She captures a lot of those great stories that we get out of Tepeyac, and honestly, I think we're only getting a fraction of them. Spend a little time with any one of our providers, and your mind will be blown at the frequency of the inspiration that comes out of them day in and day out. I also like to recognize Barbara Remington. Barbara Remington is one of our rock star volunteers. She not only volunteers with Divine Mercy Care, but over at Tepeyac. So she's there as a medical assistant, but she's also there running around and getting things ready for our gala. So we are very, she's that volunteer that is basically an employee because she's always involved. So we're really blessed to have you here at Q1. Thank you very much. And really behind the scenes, this is an individual that came on board as a volunteer, but after 4 months, I'm like, wait a second, this person is so awesome. Cheney had found her at a volunteer workshop, and she brought her on board, and I said, listen, Doug, if you could come on board, and even if it's whatever, 10 or 20 hours a week, I'd love to pay you. Why would you pay me if I'm already volunteering? That way I can make sure that you actually come. Donna Johnson is in the back. Volunteers who have helped out make this evening possible, and again, to spread the word and make it a success. So, and please have more to eat and drink.